Have you ever stopped to think that the most used item in your bathroom is also the most invisible? Nobody talks about it, nobody teaches how to choose it, and almost no one knows how it's made. But try living without it for a day, and you'll quickly realize that toilet paper is one of the most important inventions of modern civilization. Behind that soft white roll sitting quietly beside your toilet, there is a massive production chain with loud machines, tons of wood, and secrets that most people have never seen. Did you know it used to be a luxury item? That there is actually a correct side to use? Or that some factories can produce thousands of rolls per hour, almost like magic? In this video, you will discover all of that and more. You will see how forests turn into paper, how paper becomes rolls, and how those rolls end up in your home. If you enjoy videos that make you look at everyday things in a completely new way, this is your moment. Take a deep breath, because the journey starts now. People say that the greatest inventions in human history were born out of necessity, and toilet paper was no exception. But did you know it is much older than it seems? Back in 6th century China, long before bathrooms as we know them even existed, records show that people used special sheets of paper for personal hygiene. These were not just any sheets. They were soft, handmade, and reserved for the wealthy. The rest of the population used straw, old cloths, or even smooth stones. It is fascinating to think that for centuries this comfort was seen as something exotic. In medieval Europe, for instance, nobody even imagined such a thing. People used hay, rags, or dried corn cobs. Just imagine that feeling. It was only much later, with advances in papermaking and sanitation, that the idea began to spread around the world. And little by little, that simple roll sitting next to your toilet today became part of everyday life. Strange, isn't it? Something so ordinary now was once a symbol of wealth and privilege. And to think it all started with a unique kind of paper crafted with ancient techniques. But that was only the first step in a long journey. The most fascinating part is still to come. How that perfectly rolled soft cylinder is made today on an industrial scale. The answer involves technology, giant machines, and a process few people ever get to see. History does not credit a single person as the inventor of toilet paper, but many scholars recognize the anonymous brilliance of Chinese artisans in the 6th century who crafted a type of paper made specifically for this purpose. They shaped, pressed, and dried delicate sheets that were later cut into squares. It is amazing to think this practice came from a culture that valued cleanliness as much as philosophy. They may not have left a name carved in history, but they left behind a habit that survived through centuries. The man who turned toilet paper into a commercial product, however, was Joseph Gayati, an American entrepreneur. In 1857, he launched the first packaged sheets in the United States under his own name. He marketed them as a medicinal solution since each sheet contained aloe vera to protect the skin. A curious detail is that at the time, many people used old newspapers in the bathroom. So convincing them to pay for something they used to get for free required courage and a lot of clever advertising. The real turning point came decades later when the Scott brothers introduced the first continuous roll of toilet paper, much like the ones we know today. From that moment on, the idea of a soft, rolled product began to find its way into homes across the country. The name of the original inventor may be lost to time, but the pioneers of the paper industry made history by popularizing something as intimate as it is essential. At first glance, toilet paper seems simple, but there is much more to it than just paper. Everything starts with cellulose, extracted from plant fibers found in trees like pine and eucalyptus, chosen for their strength and flexibility. Depending on the brand, the mix may include natural additives to improve softness or absorbency, such as starch or aloe vera. There is also a careful chemical process to remove impurities, ensuring that the final product is clean and safe for everyday use. It is a precise balance between comfort, durability, and softness. Some premium versions go even further, using shorter refined fibers to make the paper smoother to the touch. Then comes embossing, the process that adds those tiny patterns or textures. It is not just decoration. Embossing increases volume and efficiency, making the paper stronger even with thinner sheets. Another interesting detail is that some papers are infused with light fragrances applied through steam to create a more pleasant experience. Every part of this process is designed with one goal in mind: to balance comfort with functionality. Even the cardboard tube at the center is engineered with precision. It needs the right thickness to hold the paper's weight, sturdy enough to keep its shape, yet easy to discard or recycle. And if you have ever wondered what to do with that empty roll, you are not alone. Many people reuse it for crafts, organization, or gardening. It may seem like a simple object, but behind it lies an impressive combination of nature, chemistry, and design. It is the result of centuries of creativity, experimentation, and human ingenuity that turned one of life's simplest items into one of its most essential. Everything begins with the basic raw material, cellulose. Huge bundles of plant fibers, mostly from trees like eucalyptus and pine, arrive at the factories and are submerged into massive tanks. Inside, they are transformed into a white, wet pulp that looks almost like a plant-based porridge. This mixture is what will eventually become the paper you know. But the real magic happens in the next steps. After being filtered, the pulp is sent to a machine that looks like an endless conveyor belt. The water starts to drain with precision while the fibers spread evenly across the surface. Industrial fans dry this thin sheet until it gains firmness and texture. Soon after, the sheet is pressed and rolled through heated cylinders spinning at high speed. At this stage, the paper begins to develop the softness and lightness we expect when pulling that next square from the roll. Once the sheet is ready, it is wound into massive jumbo rolls that can stretch for hundreds of meters. Then, cutting machines with near-surgical precision divide them into smaller rolls, add textures, perforations, and sometimes even light fragrances. All of this happens in just a few minutes, inside non-stop production lines. Every roll that ends up in your home goes through a process that is carefully designed, monitored, and optimized. But that is only part of the story, because understanding how it is made can completely change the way you look at toilet paper. Toilet paper factories look like entire cities operating inside giant warehouses. In production lines that can stretch over 300 feet long, the raw paper follows a path of perfect precision. The machines work at temperatures above 350 degrees Fahrenheit to dry the cellulose pulp in seconds. It is incredible to watch how the wet sheet transforms under the heat and speed of the rollers. Everything happens in an almost hypnotic rhythm, filled with metallic sounds and clouds of steam. Robots are also part of the show. In many modern factories, mechanical arms handle the cutting of the rolls with perfect synchronization. They align, slice, and pack without pauses, running day and night. Sensors and cameras monitor every step to ensure that no sheet leaves the line with the wrong texture or thickness. If any irregularity is detected, the system adjusts automatically in real time. It looks like an industrial choreography where every movement has a purpose. Another fascinating detail is humidity control. If the paper is too dry, it tears easily. If it is too moist, it loses the soft touch consumers expect. That is why factories use advanced climate systems, adjusting temperature and humidity as precisely as a laboratory. The average time to produce one finished roll can vary from 30 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on the complexity and type of paper. And even after all that technology, one final step remains: delivering the product to your home. After being cut and inspected, the rolls move to the packaging stage, which is almost as interesting as the manufacturing itself. High-speed machines group the rolls into packs of 4, 12, or even 30 units and wrap them in durable plastic film sealed with heat. Some packages even include handles to make them easier to carry at the supermarket. All of this happens in fractions of a second with minimal human intervention. Then, robotic arms stack the finished packs on wooden or plastic pallets. Automated forklifts move them to distribution centers, where they are stored before being shipped to supermarkets, pharmacies, and small shops in distant cities. It is a quiet but essential operation that depends on carefully planned routes and climate-controlled warehouses to keep the product clean and dry. After all, even a simple household item must arrive intact and spotless on the store shelf. To meet different needs and budgets, brands create a variety of product lines, from the most basic to the most luxurious. Each version has its own packaging, carefully designed to catch attention at the point of sale. Today, even packaging design is strategic. The colors, the mascot, the slogan promising soft as cotton, everything is calculated to win the consumer's attention at first glance. And so, after a long journey from forest to factory to store shelves, the humble toilet paper roll finally finds its place in your bathroom. Did you know that toilet paper is one of the most consumed products in the world? In the United States alone, people use more than 36 billion rolls every year. That's right, billions. Brazil is also among the largest producers in Latin America, with factories running 24 hours a day to meet national demand. In countries like Japan, toilet paper is so valued that you can even find scented versions with floral aromas and beautifully decorated packaging. Each culture has its own way of seeing this everyday essential. In France, for example, many people still prefer the bidet, while in some parts of Asia it is common to use water instead of paper. Even so, global toilet paper production keeps increasing. Its convenience, low cost, and familiarity make it a staple in homes around the world. Here is another curious fact. During times of crisis, like the recent pandemics, toilet paper rolls often become a symbol of safety and even a reason for disputes in supermarkets. It is a quiet product, but it reveals a lot about the habits and values of a society. And there is more. Did you know there has been a long-standing debate about the right way to hang toilet paper? Yes, people actually argue about whether the paper should come out from the front or from the back of the roll. According to the original patent registered in the 19th century, the correct way is with the loose end facing forward, which makes it easier to grab. It is a funny detail, but it shows how even the smallest parts of our daily lives can spark big discussions. And when we look back in time, we realize how this everyday product started in a much simpler way. If you made it this far, tell me in the comments where you are watching from. Which city and country? I would love to know how far this video can travel. And if this story surprised you or taught you something new, leave a greeting too. You might even find someone here from your region. Go ahead and give this video a like. That really helps the channel keep bringing more fascinating stories like this one. Stories that change the way we see the world. And of course, if you have not subscribed yet, this is the perfect time to do it. Here, you will always discover how things are truly made.